Good day, everyone. So, welcome to our discussion for week 3 under your subject Trends, Networks, and Critical Thinking in the 21st Century. So, last time we discussed about trends and fads. So, do you still remember the difference between the two? Okay, so when we say trends, it means it appears suddenly, but it stays for a long period of time. While when we say fads, it means it appears suddenly, but it is a short-lived fashion. And for today's video, I am going to discuss our topic, which is all about strategic analysis and intuitive thinking. So just like the previous topic, we are going to compare these two concepts and we are going to analyze their differences. But before that, I am going to discuss our objectives for this week. So at the end of this lesson, you are expected to first, define strategic analysis and intuitive thinking. Second, differentiate key components in strategic analysis and intuitive thinking. Third, apply strategic analysis. And last is to apply intuitive thinking in solving a problem in the community using a map of social networks. So these are the competencies that you need to acquire at the end of this lesson. Now, before we proceed to the lesson proper, let us have this first activity, and this is called logic time. So in this activity, you are going to answer 3 logical questions, and you're going to write your answers on the space provided on your answer sheet. So first question, it says that when I was 4 years old, my brother was half my age. Now I'm 18. How old is my brother? Next, number 2, my mother's name is Mrs. 62. Son's name is 52. Daughter's name is 42. Now, what is name of the father? Okay, so you're going to analyze those questions and you're going to write your answers. And for the last question, you're just going to read and analyze the given scenario, and based on the picture presented here, and you can also see this on your learning activity sheet. So based on this picture, you have to determine the murderer. Okay, you're going to write your answer on the answer sheet. Now, if the picture on your activity sheet is not that clear, so you can take screenshot of this photo so that you can answer it properly. Anyways, I'm going to post this also in our Facebook page and our group chat. Okay, now based on the previous activity, what do you think is its relevance to our topic? Do you have any idea? Is it related to that strategic analysis and intuitive thinking? And how did you answer those 3 questions? Did you answer those questions immediately, or did you have critical analysis before you come up with a particular answer? Okay, so as we go along with our discussion, you are going to determine answers to those questions. Okay, so let's proceed to activity 2. This is called My Thoughts, and you will be getting 10 points by accomplishing this activity. So it is very easy actually. You're just going to put a check on the blank if the statement is true to you. If not, just leave it blank. So basically, you're just going to answer this based on your own experiences and based on your own personality. So in short, there is no wrong answers. There is no wrong answer for this activity. So let's say, for example, number 1, we have here, I think several times before I do something. So are you that kind of person? Do you think twice or do you think a lot before coming up with a particular decision? So if it pertains to you, then you can put a check mark on this blank. Okay, I often assume, and it usually works, when people relay information to me, I easily believe it. So, as you can see, you have 10 items, It has 10 items, and you're just going to accomplish this for you to have 10 points. Okay? Uh, Now let us proceed with the discussion. And first, let us define strategic analysis. Okay, it refers to a system or method that requires deliberate, abstract, and effortful thinking that breaks down a complex problem into parts. Okay, from the word strategic and from the word analysis, we can come up with an idea that it requires strategies and critical thinking before coming up with a particular decision. So when we say strategic analysis, it means it employs a detailed examination of a problem to come up with a solution. And it also involves looking at the context of the problem, meaning we are having deep thoughts, we are thinking critically, and we are thinking outside the box before deciding on something. So that is strategic analysis. Now, for you to have a deeper understanding of what strategic analysis is, I'm going to present to you 5 steps or 5 stages before you come up with a decision using strategic analysis. First, of course, you have to identify the problem. So before deciding on something, first know the root cause of everything. You have to define the problems and the factors or conditions involved in that particular situation. Next, after identifying the problem, you analyze the problem. Okay? What are the things that you have to do? You have to examine the variables that will change the state situations, including the potential challenges and its causes. So what could be the possible conflicts or problems, and what are the causes of those challenges or conflicts? So that's under stage number 2. And then after that, you'll proceed to the third step, which is you have to generate a solution. So you now have identified the problem, you analyze the problem, and now you have to come up with a solution. Okay? So when coming up with a solution, you have to set not just practical but reasonable and creative criteria and strategies to solve the problem. So those are the factors that you have to consider. Fourth step is, of course, you have to implement the solution. Okay, you have thought of an idea and now you are going to put your ideas into actions. So you have to execute the plan. Okay, and last is reflect on the outcomes. Of course, after implementing the solution, you have to assess, uh, does it have positive impact? Does it have negative impact? And you're going to draw lessons or conclusions which will guide you on your future decisions. So if ever you've made the wrong decision, so that would be a lesson for you on the next time that you encounter the same problem. So when you are using strategic analysis, always consider these factors or these steps before coming up with a particular decision. Okay? So now we are done discussing the strategic analysis. Now it's time for you to have a better understanding regarding intuitive thinking. So let's define it. So it says it is quick and ready insight. Aside from that, this is the ability to understand something instinctively without the need for conscious reasoning. So, from the word intuitive, so it is referred to as the gut feeling, our gut feels, our sixth sense, our inner sense, our instinct, our inner voice, our spiritual guide, and the likes. So, intuitive thinking is affected by how we feel and how we define a thing or event. So, when we are making instant decisions without thinking twice or thinking a lot, then probably you are doing an intuitive thinking. Okay? So particular norms and value systems within a community are considered when when making decisions. Okay? So the difference between intuitive thinking and strategic analysis. In intuitive thinking, we are also considering the norms and the value systems that we have in our community. Okay, let's say for example, we often believe in superstitious beliefs. Okay, we have the so-called pamahiin. Let's say for example, in a burial, okay, sa isang burol, di ba? So we have a lot of superstitious beliefs, maraming mga bawal. And when we ask the elders na bakit bawal, wala naman silang maibigay sa atin na explanation, di ba? So, there's no clear explanation regarding those beliefs. So, that is an example of intuitive thinking. We are considering the norms, okay? Now, each person is engaged in a variety of networks associated with his or her multiple roles and interests in the community. And now, I am going to present to you the roles of intuitive thinking and its connection in the different networks. Okay, so first we have the political networks. So it means it is composed of relations with government officials, student government, and community leaders, among others. So, di ba, as members of the community, we are building networks. And when we say networks, that means we are building connections based on how we interact and know the people around us. And one of the relationships that we are building is related to politics. So when we say political networks, meaning we are having attachments with certain leaders like the government officials, which uh, affects our way of thinking and our decision making. So that is political networks. Next, we have the so-called economic networks. So you belong to cover the manufacturers, agents, and sellers of the goods you consume, such as those in stores, groceries, markets, and malls, as well as money lenders. Now, for you to have quick understanding of this concept, when we say economic networks, I have a simple question for you. When you are going to market, where do you usually buy meat, fish, or other products? Okay, let's say your parents ask you to buy something. Let's say it's a meat. Where do you usually buy meat? Okay, that's right. When we are buying something, we instantly go to whom we always buy our products to. Okay, that's why we have the so-called suke, di ba? When we are buying something, uh, we don't analyze where to buy. We instantly come up with a decision that we're going to buy on that particular store because you're used to buying on that particular store. So that means you have already built a networks on that particular store or the owner of that store, and that's related or that's affected by your intuitive thinking. Okay, next we have the socio-cultural or social networks, and these are those belonging to your dance troupe, choir, regarding reading club, band, arts club, or theater company. So social networks are also related to the kinship ties, your neighborhood associations, your friendship clubs, and the different associations that you belong to the social network, wherein people constantly engage in close communication and interaction through visits, phone calls, text messages, and activities of common interest. So one example of this, let's say your friend or your barkada invited you to hang out. So, without further thinking, you said yes. Okay, you instantly said yes because those are your friends. You hang out with them. So that's the relationship of the connection between intuitive thinking and your social networks. Okay, so you automatically join them because you know them and you love their presence. Okay, so that's the role of social networks. Now, for you to have a bigger picture of these two concepts, let us have a quick comparison between strategic analysis and intuitive thinking. First, when we say strategic analysis, it starts from an idea or concept and moves on to what can be associated with it. While when we say intuitive thinking, it focuses on the idea or concept and its attributes. In short, when we say strategic analysis, we are thinking outside the box. While when we say intuitive thinking, we are boxing ourselves with that particular idea and we are just focusing on its attributes. Next, strategic analysis is brain-centered, while intuitive thinking is heart-centered. Okay? So in strategic analysis, we are having critical analysis before coming up with a particular decision. So just like the previous discussion, I have already discussed that we have 5 stages before coming up with a good decision, and that's how strategic analysis works. It is brain-centered. While intuitive thinking, it is more of the emotions, our gut feelings. That's why it is heart-centered. Next, strategic analysis involves hard facts, data, and instructions. So, di ba we are analyzing the problem, we are identifying the problem. So, basically, we are doing further research. While in intuitive thinking, hunch, instinct, gut feeling. So, on the spot, we are making decisions based on our emotions or feelings. Next, strategic analysis needs time to finish in one or more sittings or sessions. So it takes time because it is a process. Uh, we want to analyze something and we want to come up with the best decision. That's why we need time. While in intuitive thinking, as I was saying earlier, it was on the spot. It is spontaneous, quick, finished at one time. So we are making quick decisions. Next, strategic analysis is well planned. Okay, we have process, we are following steps, and we are creating plans. We are not just implementing solutions, we are planning for those solutions. And even after implementing those solutions, we are having assessment and evaluation of the consequences. While in intuitive thinking, it is unplanned, which means no plans at all. Okay? So I hope that through this um, through this illustration, you are able to have a better understanding between strategic analysis and intuitive thinking. Okay, for activity 3, ayan, we're going to apply critical thinking skills. So this is for 15 points. So as you can see, we have a picture and it has a scenario. It says, Kenneth, a 5-year-old boy, puts a label salt into a jar of sugar. Actually, he has been observing it almost every day because many ants are attacking the jar. So you have to answer these 3 questions. Why do you think Kenneth labeled the sugar salt? Did he use intuitive or strategic way of thinking? Why do you think so? And last, what is lacking in his problem-solving skills? Okay, so in this activity, you are going to determine whether the kid used strategic analysis or intuitive thinking, and you have to state your answer. Why? Okay, for activity 4 entitled My Creativity for 25 points. So this is a performance task. So for this activity, you're just going to create an infographic showing the difference between strategic analysis and intuitive thinking. And you may use your mobile phones or computer to create creative infographics. So this is the rubrics. For content, you'll be getting 9 points, appropriateness 8 points, creativity 8 points for a total of 25 points. So note, for those who do not have applications or gadgets, if you do not have any gadgets, you may create your own infographic, your own version of infographic in a short band paper. Okay? And for those who are going to create through digital platforms, you may post your outputs on our Facebook page. Okay. Next, activity 5, strategic or intuitive. Okay. So this is a performance task. So using your collabs, your groupings, so you're just going to pick two from these 10 scenarios, and then you're going to identify whether it requires strategic analysis or intuitive thinking. So in this next slide, I have already provided I have already provided this table. You're just going to accomplish it. So you're going to write your answer on your learning activity sheet. So you're just going to write which are your chosen statements, and you're going to identify is it strategic analysis or intuitive thinking and why. Okay, reminders, you're going to answer this as a group. So use the groupings that I have assigned to you, your collabs groupings, and have a brainstorming, have a short, quick discussion regarding this particular activity. Okay, so anyways, I will be communicating with your collabs leaders regarding activity 5 for more information. Okay, activity 6, my takeaways. This is for 15 points. Now, based on your understanding of the lesson, write the meaning of the following terms. Write your answer in the space provided. First, strategic thinking refers to blank, okay, based on your own understanding and using your own words. So you're going to answer this. Intuitive thinking refers to blank. Political networks are blank. Economic networks are blank. Social networks are blank. Okay, you're just going to complete the statements. And last, for activity 7, for 10 points, let's test it. And this is divided into two parts. So for part A, you're going to read and analyze the statement and identify if these statements pertain to strategic analysis or intuitive thinking. So write SA if it is strategic analysis and IT if it is intuitive thinking. And letter B, true or false, write true if the statement is correct and false if the statement is incorrect. Okay, so I know with all the challenges that we've faced, you've been through a lot. So before I end this lesson, let me leave these words of mine. And it says, the bitterness of failure adds sweetness to success. I know we all failed at something. I know we all get frustrated. We don't get what we want. But win or lose, we still learn from our failures. Because our failures will make us stronger, and by that, our victory will be sweeter. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you still have questions, you can reach me through any digital platforms, you can post on our Facebook page and you can message on our group chats. Okay, thank you so much for listening. God bless everyone.